Real Madrid and Barcelona. This is widely considered the biggest rivalry in football, and for good reason. But if we move past the emotion, the fan debates, and the history, a more interesting question comes up. Which team is actually better from a football perspective? Not just historically, not just emotionally, but based on performance, consistency, and how they approach the game. So let's take a closer look, step by step. To really understand this rivalry, you have to go back to the beginning. Barcelona was founded in 1899, and from early on, it developed a very strong identity, not just as a football club, but as a symbol of culture and connection to the city. The phrase "more than a club" is often used, and it's not just a slogan. It reflects a philosophy, a way of playing, and a way of thinking about football. Now, when you look at Real Madrid, founded in 1902, you see a very different identity. From the start, Madrid was built on ambition, on competing at the highest level, and more importantly, winning. For Real Madrid, success is the standard, not the goal. So right from the beginning, Barcelona represents style and identity. Real Madrid represents results and dominance. And that contrast still defines both clubs today. Now, when we talk about trophies, the comparison becomes much clearer. Real Madrid has dominated European football. They have more Champions League titles than any club in history, and it's not particularly close. But it's not just about numbers, it's about consistency across decades. From the early European Cup era to modern football, Real Madrid has consistently found a way to perform on the biggest stage. Barcelona, of course, has also been successful in Europe, especially during their peak years, but they haven't matched that same level of long-term consistency. Now, domestically, things are much closer. Barcelona has been extremely competitive in La Liga, particularly during the Guardiola era, when they controlled games with a very specific style. So overall, Real Madrid leads in European dominance, while Barcelona has had periods of strong domestic control. And at that point, it really depends on what you value more: long-term success or peak performance during certain eras. Now let's look at how these teams actually play, because this is where the real difference shows. Barcelona is built around possession. They focus on short passing, constant movement, and controlling the tempo of the game. Their objective is not just to win, but to control the match itself. Every pass has a purpose. Every player is involved. This approach became known as tiki-taka, and it defined an entire era of football. Real Madrid approaches the game differently. They are more flexible. They can control possession when needed, but they don't rely on it. They are extremely dangerous in transition. Quick attacks, direct runs, efficient use of space. Barcelona prefers to build slowly. Real Madrid is comfortable striking quickly. So one team focuses on control, while the other focuses on adaptability. And in modern football, that ability to adapt can be a major advantage. When it comes to players, both clubs have had some of the greatest in history. Barcelona had Lionel Messi, a player who defined an entire generation, alongside Xavi and Iniesta, midfielders who controlled games through intelligence, positioning, and timing. Their understanding of the game was exceptional. Real Madrid had Cristiano Ronaldo, a different kind of dominance, more direct, more physical, and incredibly consistent in front of goal. Then you have players like Zidane, who brought elegance, control, and leadership. Different styles, but the same level of impact. Now in the current era, Barcelona is rebuilding. They have talented young players like Pedri and Gavi, but they are still developing, still trying to reach that next level. Real Madrid, on the other hand, has already completed that transition, with players like Vinicius Jr., who brings pace and directness, and Jude Bellingham, who adds intelligence and control in midfield. Right now, Real Madrid looks more stable, while Barcelona is still building. From a tactical perspective, Barcelona is more structured. Positions are clearly defined. Movements are coordinated. Everything is built around maintaining shape and control. Real Madrid is more flexible. Players are given more freedom, and they adjust based on the situation. Managers like Carlo Ancelotti focus on balance rather than strict systems. So while Barcelona creates patterns, Real Madrid reacts to moments. and especially in high-pressure games, that difference can be very important. Now looking at strengths and weaknesses, Barcelona's biggest strength is control. When they dominate possession, they control the rhythm, the space, and the flow of the game. But when they lose that control, they can struggle, especially against teams that press aggressively. Real Madrid's biggest strength is mentality. In big moments, they stay calm. They have a history of performing under pressure, late goals, comebacks, big Champions League performances. That's part of their identity. But they can also be inconsistent and sometimes rely too much on individual quality. Now, why is this rivalry so big? Because it goes beyond football. It's connected to history, culture, and identity. Madrid and Barcelona represent different ideas, different approaches to the game, and every time they play, that contrast is on display. That's why El Clasico is watched all over the world, because it represents more than just a result. So in the end, who is really better? If you focus on European success, Real Madrid clearly has the advantage. If you focus on style and influence, Barcelona has shaped modern football in a unique way. And if you look at the current moment, Real Madrid appears more complete. But overall, there isn't a simple answer, because greatness depends on what you value, and maybe that's exactly what makes this rivalry so special. There is always debate, always another perspective, and never a final answer. Because when Real Madrid faces Barcelona, you're not just watching a match, you're watching two philosophies compete, two identities, two histories, and that is what makes it the greatest rivalry in football. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. Subscribe for more content and better football analysis every single day.